Hey, good afternoon. I thought I'd talk to you for a little bit about the power in the quiet ones. You know, one of the things that I have been studying all week long has been gentleness. And one of the quotes that I want to share with you is just a part of the quote where someone said, steam is most powerful when it makes the least amount of noise. And it's so true. If you know anything about steam turbines, or you know anything about the old steam locomotives, you know that when they're quiet, when they're not releasing steam, when steam is not leaking, they're the most powerful, because that means the steam is available to power the engines that drive the turbine, that drive the engine, that pull the payload. When it's quiet, it's most powerful. I'll never forget years ago when my girls were little girls, we heard that the Challenger was coming to town. Now, the Challenger was at the time the largest steam locomotive still in operation in the US. And it would travel across the country and do excursions, and you could buy tickets to take an excursion. This one was from Dallas downtown to Fort Worth and back. And I wanted my girls to be a part of history, so we bought tickets for that train. And I'll never forget, we went to downtown Dallas and to the rail yard that's near to Reunion Tower. And we're standing there when this massive engine comes rolling into that train yard. And while it's sitting there, the engineer decides to release some steam from the boiler. And when he does, I swear that cloud of white smoke shot up 100 feet into the air. It was so impressive, and it was so loud that it nearly deafened us. But I realized in that moment that when the engineer releases the steam, the engine itself has the least amount of power, because that steam is no longer available to push the wheels, to pull the load. It's been released through a lot of noise. You know, I think sometimes in society we get the wrong idea of what power is. We think that the truly powerful ones are the ones that release a lot of steam, that they make a lot of noise, they talk with a lot of bravado, they sound really tough. And I'm here to tell you, it's just a bunch of noise. It's just the steam being released. But the real powerful ones, they're the quiet ones. One other story. Years ago, I was invited to the home of a SMU professor for a book discussion. I hadn't read the book, but I love this professor, so I thought, you know, hey, I ought to go. It'll be fun. So I went to the home of this professor, and there was maybe a dozen people in the room, and I had a seat next to a distinguished-looking, older black gentleman. I leaned over before the discussion began. I said, "Hi, my name's Keith." He said, "Hi, my name's Jim." I said, "Jim, it is a hot day," because it was the middle of Dallas in the summer, and it was hot outside. And he said, "It sure is." He said, "But not near as hot as India." And I said, "Oh, so you lived in India?" He said, "Oh, I lived there for a period of time, and it was so hot you couldn't go outside." Well, just about that time, the book discussion started. Jim was quiet through the entire discussion. At the end of the discussion, the professor looks to Jim and says, "Jim, do you have anything to add?" And Jim talked for about 2 or 3 minutes and said some of the most profound things I've ever heard. We got done, I leaned over, I said, "Hey, Jim, that was great, awesome, thanks for sharing." He said, "You're welcome." Well, later that evening when I get home, I looked up Jim's name, thinking maybe, he's written some other books I could learn from him. His name, the Reverend James Lawson, civil rights icon, right-hand man to Dr. King. He's the man that went to Fisk University, trained the university students in nonviolent resistance, and did the lunch counter sit-ins in Nashville, Tennessee that helped to end Jim Crow laws in the South. I was sitting next to a civil rights hero, and I talked to him about the weather. But I think what impressed me most about Jim was not even his eloquence or his profound wisdom. I think it was the way he introduced himself. "Hi, my name's Jim." That was it. No need to roll out his impressive resume. No need to make a lot of noise. No need to say something at every turn in the discussion. He was just the quiet one. And when it came his time to speak, he had something profound to say. I left that meeting thinking, I need a lot more of what Jim has. I want to be that kind of person that's quiet, that speaks when God wants me to speak, and knows how to be silent when I need to be silent. Because you know what? Steam is most powerful when it makes the least amount of noise. God bless you. I hope to see you again real soon.